Very appetizing in other circumstances, but I'm not hungry at the moment. I just don't have the appetite. What they say about the chef is true. This buffet is a carnival's dream. These menu cards are perfect for collecting fingerprints. Sterling silver, of course.
Do not disturb me. I do not have enough vinegar or olive oil for the Count and Countess. I will be shamed.
Well, I never. It's the cargo manifest. It shows that 3 casks were loaded in Belgrade, 1 of olive oil, 1 of honey, and 1 of vinegar. It also mentions a special security package that was loaded in Istanbul. A keg of white wine vinegar. Salonika olive oil, a keg of Greece's finest. The spout fits perfectly. The valve prevents it from pouring until turned. This spout fits just as well as the first. May I have your passport, please?
Oui, mademoiselle. You will find it in room 1-2 in the Athens Paris coach.
What can you tell me of your movements after dinner?
I came in here to attend to the bar after everyone went to their rooms. I cleaned the salon car and went to the Athens Paris coach to rest.
What time was that?
I closed the bar at midnight, so it would be a few minutes after that.
Did you see or hear anything unusual last night?
No, mademoiselle. The Athens Paris coach was very quiet. And of course, the door leading to the Calais coach is locked. One can pass through only if Pierre Michel or Matteo opens it for him.
What do you know of Klaus, the chef?
An artiste de la cuisine, and just as temperamental as a painter. Vous comprenez? No one is allowed to enter his kitchen.
His menu seems to overemphasize meat dishes.
It is true that. They call him Le Boucher, but not to his face, of course.
The butcher. It suits him. Klaus seems even more temperamental than usual today.
I fear an approaching catastrophe, mademoiselle.
Worse than avalanches and murder?
Certainement. Special dinner menus, as you no doubt know, are printed in advance of our departure in Istanbul. Here is tonight's menu. As you can see, tonight is to serve Wiener Schnitzel and Eldafe salad, native dishes of Austria. in honor of the Count and Countess Andreni.
Veal and potatoes. Why does this not surprise me?
But so many have asked for the salads, almost in defiance of Chef Klaus, and the porters have failed to put aboard enough vinegar and olive oil for the adapted salad. Klaus is in a rage. The embarrassment will be too much for him.
What do you know of Klaus's movements last night?
As usual, he stayed in his precious kitchen, preparing his pastries and sauces for the next day's meals. He passed through the salon car a few minutes before midnight in a rage because one of the steak knives is missing. Passengers will take anything as a souvenir if it is not bolted down. Why, the things that have gone missing on this trip would astound you.
But perhaps they were not all taken as souvenirs. Perhaps some person, in order to do good, borrowed them?
Mademoiselle, forgive me, but I do not understand what you are talking about.
Let it pass. What did Klaus do after he entered the salon car?
Nothing. We went together to the Athens-Paris coach.
Do you know Monsieur Ratchet was killed with a knife?
I had heard this, oui, but why? Do you think Klaus may have stabbed him?
A chef that temperamental? If someone was to criticize his masterpieces?
Mais non, mademoiselle. C'est très absurd. Klaus would not stab anyone. Not with a knife. He would hack them into little medallions with his cleaver.
Au revoir, monsieur. I would like to fingerprint you.
Eğer mecbursan. Seninle sonra konuşacağım. Söz veriyorum.
I still need to ask you some questions about last night.
At your service, dear young lady. But I know nothing.
Did you see anyone leave the train last night?
No. But as I have told you, we were busy with the boiler. The pressure must be kept up for the light and heat.
Did you see anyone get on the train?
In Belgrade, there was a single passenger only for the Athens-Paris coach. No one at the other stops that I saw.
Can you describe this passenger?
He was small, dark. A doctor, I think, Michel said.
No one else?
Well, Matteo, of course, the Athens-Paris attendant. Not to speak ill of the crew, but he was very late getting aboard. We left the station only moments later.
I would like to fingerprint you.
Anything you require. However, if you're planning to smear that typewriting ribbon on my fingers, it is unnecessary. My fingers are black from coal dust already.
Good day, monsieur. I smashed the lump of coal into a fine powder. I already have what I need from there.
I shall eat like a sultan now. Thank you kindly.
Even after a rescue train arrives, that avalanche will take some time to dig through.
Seninle sonra konuşacağım. Söz veriyorum.
Do you have a plan to the Athens-Paris coach?
Si, señorita.
Which rooms are occupied in this car?
The Greek doctor is the only passenger. He is in room 13. I have taken room 15 there to sleep in, and room 16 for my equipment. I hope it is all right. Pierre Michel is using room 11, the chef de cuisine is in 9, Lucien the waiter is in 1-2, the engineer is resting in 10 when not attending to the boiler, the fireman rests in 3-4.
What equipment?
I am a ham radio operator. Usually I carry the equipment in the baggage car. There is no time to use it when I'm on duty. And anyway, no power. But when we were stopped so suddenly, I thought to check it and found my telegraph key destroyed. I don't understand it. It was packed carefully. I brought the rest here to my room to keep it safe.
Did anyone pass between this car and the Calais coach last night?
Only Pierre. He came through and we talked for a few minutes about the snow and what it will do to the schedule.
When was this?
Sometime after 1 a.m. A few minutes only. We talked for 10 minutes or so. Then Michel fancied he heard a bell. He opened the doors between the two coaches and we both heard it plainly. A bell, ringing repeatedly. Michel ran to answer it.
You boarded the train in Belgrade?
Si, señorita.
Why were you so late? Your passenger must have boarded by himself, and you yourself almost missed the train.
But this is not so. I was preparing my car as it was being attached. I myself welcomed the Greek doctor and showed him to compartment 13.
I would like to fingerprint you.
I, señorita?
Everyone.
Oh, then si, I will submit.
that will be all. I won't find anything else in there. I would like to take your fingerprints.
What is that you say? I protest. I have nothing to do with this crime.
Everyone must be fingerprinted.
Refuse? No, no, of course not. Let's get it over with.
I don't think he's in the mood for conversation. I'll take that key, Mr. Hardman. If you don't give it to me, I can have a couple of the train's staff take it from you.
I'd like to see them try.
Would you really? What were you doing going through Michelle's belongings?
Your job?
You know I'm assisting Monsieur Poirot.
Sure. Begin the interrogation.
What is your profession?
I'm a salesman. Typewriting ribbons.
Do you always travel first class, Monsieur Hartman?
Sure. The firm pays my traveling expenses.
Where is your destination?
Paris.
And from there?
New York.
What can you tell me about the murder?
Nothing at all.
That is a pity. What were you doing outside Monsieur Ratchet's window?
Okay, there were footprints there. Man's shoe, but not a large one. Size 7, maybe. I followed the tracks, then it looked like whoever made them put on some snowshoes and headed out over that deep snow near the back of the train.
I would like to take your fingerprints.
I guess it's okay.
Perhaps, Monsieur Hartman, you could tell me why I found a blackjack, or sap as I believe it's called, in your suitcase?
How do you know what it's called?
Crime is a hobby of mine.
Yeah? Well, why don't you try knitting instead? You people are serious about this investigation, aren't you?
Of course. You have heard of Monsieur Poirot?
Yeah, I have. I think I better come clean, or I could find myself in a lot of hot water here.
I would advise you to come clean.
Okay, I don't know anything, like I said. But I ought to know something. That's what makes me sore. I ought to. My passport's a bit of a bluff. That's who I really am.
Please explain.
I showed up at the appointed time. Ratchet put me wise to the situation.
What situation?
He showed me a couple of letters he got. Threatening letters.
Did Monsieur Ratchet seem alarmed by the letters?
Pretended not to be, but he was rattled all right.
What instructions did he give you?
I was to travel by the same train he did to Paris and see that nobody got him. That's the thing. I did travel by the same train, and in spite of me, somebody did get him. I feel sore about that. Doesn't look any too good for me.
Did he have any idea who the letters were from?
Well, Ratchet described him to me.
What?
Sure. Said he was a small man, dark, with a kind of womanish voice.
Did Monsieur Ratchet not tell you the man's name?
Nope.
Ratchet was Cassetti, the Armstrong murderer.
No kidding. Should have recognized him. I mean, I suppose I saw photos of him in the papers and everything. Well, that explains it. Cassetti made a lot of enemies in the American underworld. He often skipped when the heat was on, leaving his partners in crime to face the music. Some assassin finally caught up with him. Say, I've really fallen down on this thing. And with a famous detective like Mr. Poirot on the case, too. This won't do my rep any good with my boss, Mr. McNeil, if it gets back to him.
I'm in the same predicament, Monsieur Hartman, believe me.
You are? Well, that's good. I mean, bad for you, but... Say, listen. If we could keep the mess I've made out of this thing between ourselves...
I must tell Monsieur Poirot everything.
Oh, sure. I'll have to swallow my professional pride there, but if we can keep it on this side of the Atlantic, maybe, I'd really appreciate it.
I'll see what I can do. Do you know anyone connected with the Armstrong case who matches the description Monsieur Ratchet gave you?
Well, that's hard to say. They're mostly dead, aren't they?
Yes, Mrs. Armstrong, Colonel Armstrong, the nursemaid who threw herself out a window.
I remember now. The nursemaid was suspected. She killed herself even though she was eventually cleared.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Snow is very bright. So, yeah, that nursemaid was a foreigner, I think. Maybe she had some foreign relations or something. But that wasn't the first time Cassetti had run that kidnapping stunt. I bet there are lots of people had it in for him.
Please tell me your movements after dinner last night.
I played some cards with that Italian guy at the front on the coach. Then when people started turning in, I went back to my room. Stayed up all night, had my door a bit ajar so I could keep watch. But nobody could see me. You get it?
I understand how it is done, yes. Do you smoke, Monsieur Hartman?
Sure. I've got some cigarettes in my room. Come on by this evening after things quiet down. I can be far more entertaining than that mouse of a woman in your room.
No, thank you. Did you see anyone moving up and down the passage?
Nope.
Could you see the attendant from that position?
Sure. He sits on that little seat right past my room.
Can you describe his movements?
Let's see. He answered a couple of bells after the snow stopped us. Went back into the rear coach for 10 minutes or so. Then there was a bell ringing like mad, and he came running back. I got a bit nervous over that, but it was just that talkative American dame raising hell about something or other. Bit later, he headed off to make somebody's bed up. Then he settled in.
Is there anyone on the train who can confirm your identity?
My credentials are taped to the bottom of the table in my compartment along with my real passport. I'm sure you can find them.
Au revoir, monsieur. Pierre Michel's passport and an old photograph. I'll just borrow both of them. I've already searched it thoroughly. I can't see anything of it. Nothing else to see in there.
Quite interesting.
I cannot take these. Nothing of interest here.